welcome back to another episode of Somebody's Gotta Do It. You know, it's been really crazy lately as I've been making some adjustments in my personal life. My schedule has been changing a bit, and so I was not able to do last week's episode, but the goal is to continue the trend of doing them weekly. The goal is to be consistent and do this on a regular basis. So let's get to it. There's a lot to talk about today. This is probably going to make up for last week's episode because we're going to talk for quite a while about quite a few things today. But first, who am I? I am JD, aka JD Nero, aka He Who Pods, and with the glasses on, I'm also aka Rearview Mirror. Now that the AKAs are out the way, let's talk about something that you can't stop hearing about on the internet. Something that some communities won't shut up about. Something I usually don't talk about, but it made the news of sorts. And so we're bringing it here today. The thing we're going to talk about today is masculinity. So let's start with an article from The Independent. The headline reads, Trump official to Fox News. America has entered, quote unquote, era of real masculinity. Thanks to President Trump's quote unquote muscular leadership. That's the headline. Now let's get to what the hell any of that means. America has entered, quote, an era of real masculinity thanks to Donald Trump's muscular leadership, a Trump administration official told Fox News' Jesse Waters on Monday. U.S. Chief of Protocol Monica Crowley told Waters, quote, what a difference a presidency makes, calling the Biden administration a destructive, stupid era of toxic masculinity. Quote, now we're in an era of real masculinity thanks to the bold, muscular leadership of President Trump and our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, she said. And they want you guys to know what toxic masculinity means, which I appreciate. And so they have a definition here, which is from Anxiety and Depression Association of America. It says here, toxic masculinity is the way men are socially pressured to be tough, seek power to be perceived as worthy, and reject feminine traits, according to the Anxiety and Depression Association of America. Crowley said Trump's real masculinity was showcased at an event celebrating the Navy's 250th birthday that the president hosted over the weekend. First Lady Melania Trump and Hegseth were also in attendance. So there's plenty more. Y'all can go read it if you like. I'm going to head over to Cambridge Dictionary and read y'all the definition of masculinity. It says here, masculinity, the characteristics that are traditionally thought to be typical of or suitable for men. Let's go a little deeper. Let's go to another dictionary, just in case y'all don't like Cambridge. Let's look it up again. Let's go to Merriam-Webster's. Because y'all know the Webster's, right? Y'all roll with the Webster's, right? It says here, masculinity, the quality or nature of the male sex, the quality, state, or degree of being masculine or manly. And they got some examples here. One says challenging traditional notions about masculinity and femininity. Another says a style which alternates between a polished grace and blunt masculinity. And another one says the man controlling his environment is today the prevailing American image of masculinity. These are just some examples. Here's some synonyms for y'all. Maleness, manliness, machismo, manhood, and virility. I'm sorry, virility. My bad. Virility. I just want to say that this person who said this on the news, they're not the only person who got masculinity wrong. Because podcasters and Plenty of other people are on the radio, on YouTube, on Spotify, on all the big platforms that didn't pay me to say their names. They're up there. And they're saying some of the most ridiculous shit on the planet and claiming it to be masculinity. Masculinity is not half of the shit that y'all say it is. And yeah, it's true that that definition is pretty vague. Yes. When you start looking at some of those synonyms, it paints a little bit of a clearer picture. But it is also true that people can kind of have their own definition. And that's where the waters get muddy. Because your definition of masculinity and my definition and his definition and her definition may not be the same, right? And that's interesting. But let's be clear, there is a definition. We just read it. It's vague, sure. But I understand that culture also tells you a lot of things about these beliefs. And so your culture will partially dictate how you perceive masculinity. And let me tell you a little about the way I perceive masculinity. Opinion piece right here. Opinion, 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 opinion. I just want to make sure I told y'all when I started this pod, part of the reason we do this is to separate facts and opinions because too many people speak as if they are one and the same. Let me explain something to y'all. In my opinion, the way I view masculinity is not a lot of the shit y'all say. A lot of the things that y'all say, and I don't like using the term a lot because podcasters have run it to the ground. But let me say it like this: plenty of the things that y'all say today are masculinity are not masculine, in my opinion. They are quite the opposite. They are more toxic masculinity, which we hear the definition there is the societal pressures that they give us. Let me just read it one more again for the people who might have missed it. It says toxic masculinity is the way men are socially pressured to be tough, seek power to be perceived as worthy, and reject feminine traits. That's a lot of the shit y'all be saying on the internet. That's plenty of the things y'all say on the internet, in social media posts, in podcasts, in podcast clips, on podcasts, in interviews. A lot of the things that y'all associate, plenty of the things y'all associate with masculinity are truly just toxic masculinity. Nobody says being masculine means you got to be the most toughest, hard hitting dude on the planet. That's not necessarily masculinity. And I just want to make this clear because I think there's a lot of confusion right now with what masculinity is. I mean, sure, today people wearing pink shirts is no longer the end all be all for masculinity. But years ago it was. Years ago it was, well, real men don't wear pink. Today it's the opposite. Real men do wear pink. And so you see how things kind of change and get muddy, right? Let's just make sure that we're understanding what is toxic and what is not toxic. If when I walk in a room I see you and smack the living shit out of you just for fun, that's not making me masculine. That's not good. This is not something you should want to tie yourself to, which is kind of the larger point here, I guess. Starting the show off with a rant. Hey, gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. I think that we attach ourselves to lots of different phrases, and I say this often, but let's make sure what we are attaching ourselves to doesn't make us a complete piece of shit. That we are not just attaching ourselves to words, phrases, and ideologies that tear us and others down. Because if your definition of masculinity is being the person who bullies everyone, if your definition of masculinity is being the toughest guy on the planet and having to prove that every time you walk into a room, these are not good things to attach yourself to. They're not. It's not really an opinion here. It's not good. It doesn't benefit you or the people around you. So let's just be cautious about what we attach ourselves to. Okay. And this is less about what the person said from the current administration and more about the broader view of masculinity on the internet, because every time you open your phone, you see a clip about masculinity and femininity. Femininity and masculinity. There are lots of things that we are pitting against each other, right? You want to get in your feminine energy, whatever, yo, whatever you like is cool. But let's just make sure that it's not toxic and straight up bullshit. Because I personally feel like a lot of the things y'all think is masculine are just whack, corny, toxic shit. Again, this is my opinion, but I don't understand it. You know, y'all want to be the loudest guy in the room, the toughest guy in the room, you know, and try to caveman your way into things. Like you just want to club somebody over the head anytime there's a moment available to do it. To me, this is really whack. To me, this is not operating in your divine energy, which a lot of y'all like to say. I know I'm using the term a lot, which I don't like, but I don't really know what to say at this moment. But there are plenty of you doing this. And I think y'all got it twisted. It's not masculine. It's just toxic as fuck. Consider that. Which takes me right to my next thing. And if y'all want to argue, fuck it, let's argue. We could argue all day. I'm cool with it. I got time. And we're going to make content out of it. Let's keep it real. So let's do it. Let's talk about projecting. I'm going to pull up the definition because I don't think enough people know the definition of projecting. Here we go. This comes from Psychology Today. It says projection is the process of displacing one's feelings onto a different person, animal, or object. The term is most commonly used to describe defensive projection, attributing one's own unacceptable urges to another. For example, if someone continuously bullies and ridicules a peer about his insecurities, the bully might be projecting his own struggle with self esteem onto others. The concept emerged from Sigmund Freud's work on defense mechanisms and was further refined by his daughter, Anna Freud, and other prominent figures in psychology. What is projection? Unconscious discomfort can lead people to attribute unacceptable feelings or impulses to someone else to avoid confronting them. Projection allows the difficult trait to be addressed without the individual fully recognizing it in themselves. Let me explain something to you real quick. Players and playettes. If you're on the phone or if you in person, this is digital, but you know, it's the closest I could do to in person. And you are projecting on someone else, you may not realize it. It requires you to be self-aware and understand the things that you're defensive about. In my opinion, I think my opinion is that plenty of people are projecting because they're not self-aware. They're not realizing the things they need to work on within themselves. And I can understand that because nobody's perfect. But let me tell you what happens when you are constantly projecting on others. If you feel like, man, you know, I probably should shave my face more. I probably would be more appealing and more socially acceptable if I had a clean shave. Perhaps sponsors would be looking at this podcast more and willing to put up some money if I had a clean shave. That's fine if that's what you feel. But when you start saying that everybody around you with even a little bit of 5 o'clock shadow look like a bum ass nigga because they never shave, a theme starts to develop. And people will catch on to that theme. Probably, possibly. And now you be in a weird situation because they realize this is kind of a sensitive subject, you know? Anytime shaving comes up, JD is dissing me and saying that I look scruffy, that I need to shave, that I'm unprofessional looking and look really bad. But why is that though? Because something deeper is going on with JD. But what happens is, as you keep doing that to the person you're speaking to on a regular basis, when you keep projecting onto them, they're not going to want shit to do with you. So if you're not self-aware of what's going on and you need to do work, I'm not talking to you right now. You got to figure shit out on your own. Maybe lay on somebody's couch, not mine, not this one, and get the help you need to figure things out. But for those of you who are aware that you're being defensive and pushing these things on somebody else, it's nasty. It's fucked up. It got nothing to do with the other person. I need you to realize that. And people are not complete buffoons and idiots. When you continue to project on other people, they're going to notice and they will probably distance themselves from you. I know I definitely will and do already. Because if you have a problem, for example, just an example, with weight loss, but every time you see me, I'm a fat motherfucker, it's probably got nothing to do with me. Yeah, I could lose a couple pounds. I ain't saying I can't. But if everything out your mouth is fat bastard and you fat and put that cookie down, why the fuck you eating ice cream? But you weigh about 425? That really, I ain't got nothing to do with me. You got some inner work to do. And if every time I come around you, that's the kind of energy you gonna bring, player, I'm out. And playettes, it's not gender specific, but I'm out. People not gonna want to be around you. Take that shit up the street, like they used to say. And if you think projecting is cool, let's talk about it. Jump in the comments and say what you feel. Make a video and I'll respond. Just tag me. I don't give a fuck. Let's argue. But I believe that plenty of people are projecting and pushing people away instead of dealing with their inner demons. You got to deal with that shit because you're going to lose a lot of people who you probably hold near and dear to your heart because you haven't dealt with whatever's going on inside of you. And if you feel that you need to go on a public platform and tell people what's not masculine, just the last thing I'm going to say, because I want to get off this topic, it's probably something going on with you and your masculinity and your perception of these things on the inside. That's just me tying it to the topic. All right. Let's move on. Plenty to talk about. Plenty. That might be the name of this episode because I keep saying plenty. So this is entertainment news, and we probably could have talked about this on weeknights, but we didn't. Shout out to my co-host Dash. So as you may or may not know, and I brought it here because this became political in a sense. And so probably a lot of y'all know that Jay-Z and Rock Nation tried to put in a put in, not try to, excuse me, they put in a proposal and tried to push to get a casino in New York City's Times Square, and it was denied. Uh, and just a couple days later, in Queens, an expansion was granted. There's already something called the Aqueduct. It's a casino in Queens, um, or it used to be the Aqueduct, whatever. There's a casino in Queens, and that is going to get an expansion. They want to bid. And I thought that was cool, right? Nas is tied to that one. People were making jokes that Nas beat Jay-Z again. Hey, listen, all that was cool. Here's what's not cool. The committee was busting shots at Jay-Z in the press conference. I'm not here standing up for Jay-Z, but just listen to what they said, though. Hold on. That being said, I'm getting ready to vote, and there's a theme in Queens, and I know Nas is a part of this. Queens get the money. Um, Sorry, Jay-Z, we win again. Um, I just had to rub that in. If you can let the Brooklyn Borough president know that I send my regards to him. With that being said, I vote aye. I was the Queens Borough president. This is super, super New York. I'm sorry to the rest of the world. We'll get back to y'all in a minute. But that was Queensboro President Donovan Richards, one of the 6 members of the Resorts World New York City Community Advisory Committee. I just thought this was unnecessary. Last year, Nas partnered with Resorts World New York City on a $5 billion expansion plan for the already established casino in Queens. So now it's official, as you can see. I just thought this was really whack. Just to be clear, this was at the approval of the application for Nas and everybody else who's involved with this situation, and that's cool. But what was that for though? This is what the political arena is for. This is what you sit on the board to vote and say. Why? What's that for? Sorry, Jay-Z. Like, well, Queens get the money. Like, what are we doing? I thought that was really nasty and worth sharing. That's just dumb. What is the point of that? Is this how we operate in a political arena in a professional place? I'm all for quoting hip hop lyrics when applicable, but this wasn't the moment for that. Jay-Z loses again. I just had to say that. What you got? A personal vendetta against Jay-Z? Did he do something to you or your kids or something? Like what's going on? I didn't understand it. And I thought it was worth sharing. I don't really have much more to say. I just thought like this is something we had to share. Share with the class. Because he felt the need to do that. I felt the need to share and say this is unacceptable. That was really uncalled for. Honestly, I don't understand what was the point of that. And let me just take another look. I believe it was a black man busting shots at another black man. Busting shots is a loose term loosely. Yeah. What's that for? I don't understand. What's the point of that? That man, same as you. So you're gonna bust shots at another black man for what? You could just say I vote yes. What's the need to take a jab at Jay-Z for it? I'm not even defending Jay-Z and what they were trying to do in Times Square. I'm just confused at why this was necessary and what makes you think this is okay to do in the political arena at this committee voting. Maybe I'm blowing it up too much. Y'all can let me know your opinion, but I just don't understand it. I don't think this is cool to do. I don't think this is something that should be done from the Queens Borough president. Like, you hold a political position. Maybe it's minor in regards to some other people, but regardless of the size of the position, you still hold a political position that's important in New York City. Well, what are we doing? I don't understand this. I truly don't. That was a quick hit for y'all. We can move on. I guess we keep it New York for now. This comes from Power 105. Other places reported it too. It's just the first place I saw it. It says the Eric Adams administration's City of Yes housing plan is officially in motion. New York City homeowners can now apply to build nope, ancillary dwelling units, ADUs, like basement apartments, attic conversions, and backyard cottages on one and two family properties. The city launched the application portal for ADUs paired with a new program called ADU for You that offers resources, pre-approved designs, and design assistance to help homeowners create safe, code-compliant units. Quote, too many New Yorkers, try it again. Quote, too many New Yorkers, I can't say that word. Let's try it a third time. Too many New Yorkers are forced to choose between unsafe, unregulated housing or no housing at all. New Yorkers no longer have to choose, said Adolfo Carrion Jr., Deputy Mayor of Housing. Quote, now ADUs will create more housing opportunities, keep New Yorkers safe, and make it more affordable to build them than ever before. The new zoning rules allow secondary units on the same lot as a single or two family home, capped uh, sorry, capped at 800 square feet. They must be within 100 feet of the curb, cannot be built in historic districts or low density zones, and the property owner must live in either the main home or the ADU. Owners must also post a visible entrance sign if the ADU isn't directly street facing. The city says the city says interest is high. More than 2,800 property owners expressed interest in a 2024 survey, but advocates caution the impact may be limited. Only about 12% of single and two family lots in New York City qualify under the current restrictions. I thought this is really interesting and worth sharing. For a long time, uh, I've known people to live in basements and attics, and some of them were illegal and had to go to court and fight for them. And so I think this is interesting both on the resident side and the ownership side, um, for New Yorkers. Now, that 12% is a bit concerning about the people who can actually apply. Hopefully, that number increases. Hopefully, they can work with people who are applying for the program so that way they can meet the regulations and the criteria to be able to apply for this program and do it. I got to be honest, I don't know how much of an impact this will have long term. But if more housing becomes available and people can live in safe places and not the streets and the subways, I'm for it. As long as those people are paying a fair amount for their rent, because that will probably be the next issue, that people will have these available apartments but be charging a limb, an arm, a leg, something. You know what I'm saying? A neck, an ear, something crazy for these apartments. So that's my concern. But I'm interested to see how this develops. And once again, thought it was worth sharing with the rest of y'all. All right, let's jump around a little bit. Let's talk about y'all. Yes, you. And maybe you and you and you and you. Let's talk about somebody I never thought I would talk about up here. That person is Candace Owens. Yep, Candace Owens. Last week, the beginning of October, the very beginning of October and the end of September, that week, Candace Owens went viral. She was mocking someone and made a little bit of a face. I'm not going to mimic it, but she made a little bit of a face, and she went viral. She went viral because people said Candace Owens was sexy as hell, and they did not realize prior that they had a crush on Candace Owens. You don't have a crush on Candace Owens. What you have is a relationship with. Now, for you, maybe it's a healthy relationship. For someone else, maybe it's an addiction. I don't know, because I don't know you, the individual listening to this, watching this. But what I do know is that the things y'all saw in that mimicking clip that went viral and that y'all are all drooling over is a move that you see, or is making people think of a move that you see in adult videos. That's where that comes from. That's why y'all like it. That's why y'all are walking around saying, I didn't know I had a crush on Candace Owens. No, you got horny because you watch a lot of adult content. That's all it was. You don't love Candace Owens. You don't have an attraction to Candace Owens. And maybe you do now. But this thing of like, oh my God, I want her so bad, I'm crushing. Stop, stop, stop. So as you could probably realize, this topic really is not Candace Owens' topic. It's really about you. It's really about the men who saw this and said, oh my God, that was so sexy. That was so hot. It's just some shit you saw and like, get a grip. Just relax. It's not that serious. So what? She did a move that made you think back to porn. You probably just got a really interesting relationship with. And don't get me wrong, I like adult films too. But I'm not thinking about Candace Owens in that way because of that. Also, because she made that face, that doesn't mean you have a crush on her. It just means that you saw what she did, caught a flashback of an adult film you saw and said, man, that was hot. There's plenty of moments where I see things and say, man, that was hot. It doesn't mean I like the person and would love to have relations with them. You can see something hot and just move on. Y'all have this weird obsession. I don't understand. What? A face? I get it. Like, I like it as much as the next guy. And I ain't knocking Candace Owens. I'm just saying this is not the reason that you have a crush on her. If you already had a crush on her, cool. You've been crushing, no doubt. But that little face gesture that went viral, it didn't mean you developed a crush. You just horny. Just call it like it is. Just say you need to rub one out. Or call a friend at 3 in the morning. Whatever, 9 p.m. I don't care what time. The point is, this is less about Candace Owens and more about your brain and how closely it is tied to adult films. That's it. That's really what this is about. That's it. I feel like y'all run to say like the craziest stuff and get excited about the simplest things when really it's got nothing to do with that person. It's like if somebody licks their lips, it's like, oh my God, I never realized until they lick their lips how sexy they are. No, you just got a little turned on. That's it. It's not that serious. You ain't have to do all that. You ain't have to jump out the window like Kia, my homegirl, says. You ain't have to just wild all the way out. Y'all online commenting all type of stuff. This person has a husband and kids. They're a public figure. And I'm not even saying I'm defending her. I mean, there's nothing to defend. She just made a mocking face. And y'all saw that little 2-second clip and are like, oh my God, but Candace Owens, oh my God, it's crazy. It's not crazy. You crazy. You crazy. Honestly. Honestly, you crazy. It's not like, come on, man. It's okay to have a relationship with adult films. I be on the websites too. I take out my camcorder too sometimes. That's a joke. I don't got a camcorder. But it's all good. Yeah, it's cool that she made the face. She wasn't even making it in that kind of way. Y'all just see things taken out of context and run with it. Y'all gotta chill, man. In the words of Nori, you gotta relax. I'm sorry. Somebody gotta do it. Somebody had to say it. Y'all gotta relax. All right. What else we got? All right, folks. This is from a post that the Guardian put on Instagram a couple days ago. Um, it's not going to tell me what day it was if I swipe. Nope. All right, whatever. Um, so you might have heard, might have not, that there's a huge comedy festival going on in Saudi Arabia, and some of your favorite comedians are going to be there. You might have also heard that some people are upset and protesting about them being there. They feel that people who do these types of things that the Saudi Arabian government has done um, should not be blessed with the type of talent that will be there. And so I'm going to read y'all the post and then we'll discuss a little bit. So it says, quote, you get treated like gold. I'm doing this wrong. It says U.S. comedians defend decision to play in Saudi Arabia. Quote, they're paying me enough to look the other way. Some of the biggest names in U.S. comedy are under fire for signing on to Riyadh Comedy Festival, despite the government's human rights issues. I'm gonna say it says you're treated like gold. Some of the biggest names in U.S. comedy have agreed to appear in the Riyadh Comedy Festival in Saudi Arabia, despite the country's crackdown on free speech and other pervasive human rights violations. The event's producers include a live events company owned by Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund and the kingdom's general entertainment authority, chaired by, not saying that person's name, a royal advisor who has been accused of arresting people who criticize him on social media, as well as take flack for their peers as well as taking flack for their peers. The comedians have received widespread criticism from human rights groups. Quote, however, those performing at the festival do not seem particularly concerned about the criticism or the alleged wrongdoing, writes U.S. Guardian contributor Seth Simmons. Despite the fact that many of the comics built have spent the last decade plus fashioning themselves as the vanguard of free speech, it now seems clear comedy's champions of liberty are all too happy to censor themselves for the right price. And then there's some quotes here uh, as well. And so it says the festival features some of the biggest names. You got Dave Chappelle, Louis C.K., Bill Burr, Kevin Hart, Pete Davidson, Aziz Ansari, among many others who are all taking their fees directly from the Saudi government. Um, those comedians have received criticism from Human Rights Watch, which said the festival is an effort by the Saudi regime to whitewash its notorious. Let me see, is there anybody here I'd like to read from? I don't know whose quote this is. Uh, Even actor and comedian David Cross spoke out against it. He said, quote, I am disgusted and deeply disappointed in this whole gross thing that people I admire with unarguable talent would condone this totalitarian fiefdom. Fiefdom? I don't know. Never seen that word. For what? A fourth house? Question mark. A boat? Question mark. More sneakers? Question mark. So I just wanted to say one thing about all of this. Just one simple thing. There are some people who believe very strongly in their beliefs, whatever that is. And the people with that core belief system are immobile. They will not be moved, no matter the dollar amount, the gift you offer, whatever. They believe something so strongly. It don't matter what you offer them, another wife, another car, $1 billion, whatever it is, they feel so adamantly about it, they're not going to be persuaded to move. They really stand on business. And then there's everybody else. And in the wise words of Ted DiBiase, everyone's got a price. For all the people who do not stand on their square, who do not stand on business, who do not have this really, really deeply embedded belief, then cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money, dollar, dollar bill, y'all. I'm not surprised, and you shouldn't be either, in my opinion. Because if you don't have those type of beliefs, then it doesn't matter what anybody did. It doesn't matter if they burned down half the country. It doesn't matter what human rights things they violated. It doesn't matter. All that matters is, hey, they offered me 3 mil. Not me. This is an example. People are saying that they are getting double and triple their usual fees. For people who don't have those firm beliefs, then they're going to take the money. I'm sorry, but that's how it goes. And so that group of people is a small group of people who will not move. But for everybody else, it's like, yo, how much you going to pay, baby? So I'm not surprised. What I wish was that we didn't put so much faith in celebrities, because celebrities are not gods who come from Mount Olympus. They're humans just like the rest of us. That means they have insecurities, desires, and everything else that comes with being human. I wish that we would stop putting so much faith in celebrities. I love plenty of those comedians' content. It doesn't mean that they are above board and they are the people who are the most ethical and moral on the planet. It just means they are good at what they do. They're good at being comedians. They're great, legendary comedians, some of those people. That's it. Now, the last thing I will say is hypocrisy does mean something. And so if you've been saying that you have these beliefs, but then here you are getting paid the 3 million to perform, well, now you've burst your own bubble, because now we know that you're full of shit. And what that means, ladies and gentlemen, is you the viewer, the watcher, the supporter of that person, the fan of that person who is being a hypocrite so openly and publicly, you have a decision to make whether you're going to keep supporting them in their content or not, whether you have firm beliefs that you're going to stand on or not. The decision is yours. Only you could prevent forest fires. I'm sorry, I'm an asshole. I couldn't help it. All right, last thing, because I don't want to keep y'all too long. I'm going to play a clip here for you guys. This is what's going on in Indianapolis. It says here, Indianapolis residents have shut down a proposed Google data center. The tech giant wanted to build a massive 500-acre facility, but people got organized and stopped them. The $1 billion data center would have used 1 million gallons of water a day. Here's a clip for you.
Our intention to withdraw this proposal. I'm in Indianapolis, where Google just pulled down their petition to build an AI data center, preventing the city council from voting on whether to advance the project. We beat Google. For a long time, it felt like we were four people with cardboard swords fighting a monster. But tonight, it shows that people power still reigns. This was do or die. We came prepared to fight with everything we have against this data center. Because if they voted it out, that was it. It feels like I'm not going to have my livelihood destroyed. We farm 3 acres. So if there's no water or water contamination, I don't have a business. Residents remain cautiously optimistic, but it's clear that the fight is far from over. This is the same tactic that a secretive tech company used in St. Charles, Missouri, which pulled down their application in the hopes of returning to the community when opposition fades away. I don't trust Google for 1 second. We have been told before that if they withdraw on their own, then they can come back in 3 months. Now we got, again, big tech coming in and saying this is the perfect place for data centers, but they forgot to ask Hoosiers. And Hoosiers saying no. All my Hoosiers, I love you all. Keep fighting. This is yet another rejection of big tech secretly inserting themselves into a community, threatening its water supply and electricity costs. Well, this story isn't over. Indianapolis residents halted Google's plans, and that alone is worth celebrating. My 6 years on the council, I've never seen all the rooms filled to the max with people waiting in the lobby. I'm overjoyed by the amount of community support that came out for this. In a world where we are constantly being divided, everyone showed up tonight with a common goal and we won. So I've been hoping that something would bring us together, and it looks like data centers are. Power for the people! Power for Google! Power for the people! Power for Google!
All right, so that clip comes from Perfect Union. Perfect Union posted that. It came across my feed, and I thought that was worth sharing. I want to say salute to the people in Indiana fighting the good fight. But yeah, remain cautious, remain vigilant, because it's very possible that they will just resubmit in 3 months and pull an okie doke. It's really easy to do that. Sneak attack style when you're not paying attention. When the opposition is sleeping, Napoleon likes to attack. So be careful. And also to share this to say, hey man, look, there are still people in this world who will band together and fight the good fight. And so I thought that was worth sharing in a time when, like the clip says, there's a lot of divisiveness and some people feel like there's no hope. Maybe this will give you a little bit of hope. Maybe you and your friends and others in your community can band together and bring something to your city or town's attention that you feel shouldn't be happening. It's still possible in 2025. I'm JD. This has been Somebody Gotta Do It. I'll see y'all later.